rock and roll musicians, the best, the greatest rock and roll musicians are desperate men. You know, it's like you've got to have something bothering you. It's like in art and in love. It's like, hey, 1 and 1 makes 3. And I say 1 and 1. It does.
They call Bruce Springsteen the boss, commanding stadiums filled with 80,000 screaming fans, selling over 150 million records worldwide. But the secret behind his most legendary songs isn't found in recording studios or backstage. It's hidden in a ritual which is so unexpected, so beautifully simple, that when you discover it, everything about his genius will suddenly make sense. So, what does he do when no one's watching? Born in Long Branch, New Jersey in September 1949, into a world that would become the foundation of his artistic identity. His father, Douglas, struggled through various blue-collar jobs: bus driver, mill worker, prison guard, while his mother, Adele, worked as a legal secretary to keep the family afloat. The Springsteen household wasn't wealthy, but it was rich in stories, struggles, and the kind of authentic American experiences that would later fill concert halls around the world. The young Bruce discovered music almost by accident. At age 13, he saw Elvis Presley perform on The Ed Sullivan Show, and something clicked. He begged his mother for a guitar, eventually getting a Kent acoustic for $18 from a local pawn shop. What happened next would reshape popular music forever, but not in the way anyone expected. While other aspiring musicians practiced scales and studied music theory, Springsteen developed an unusual relationship with songwriting. He wasn't just learning to play music, he was learning to capture life itself. The Jersey Shore became his classroom, the boardwalks and beaches his laboratory for understanding human nature. By his early 20s, Springsteen was performing in local bands like Steel Mill and the Bruce Springsteen Band, but something was still missing. He could play, he could sing, but the songs that would make him legendary hadn't yet emerged. The breakthrough would come not from traditional songwriting methods, but from a discovery so simple, it seems almost accidental. "I was always a walker," Springsteen later revealed in interviews. "Even as a kid, I'd walk for hours, just thinking, just letting my mind go wherever it wanted to go." What he didn't realize was that these walks were preparing him for a creative process that would revolutionize his artistry. The turning point came in the early 1970s, during a period when Springsteen was desperately searching for his authentic voice as a songwriter. He had talent, he had passion, but he was struggling to translate his observations about American life into songs that truly mattered. The breakthrough came during what seemed like an ordinary afternoon along the New Jersey coastline. Springsteen had driven to the beach, feeling frustrated with his songwriting progress. Instead of sitting and forcing inspiration, he decided to walk. But this wasn't a casual stroll. It became something much more profound. As he walked along the empty shoreline, something extraordinary began to happen. The rhythm of his footsteps, combined with the constant sound of waves, created a natural meter that seemed to unlock his creative mind. Words began flowing in ways they never had before. Not complete songs, but fragments, powerful phrases, vivid images, emotional truths that captured the essence of the people and places he knew so well. He had no recording equipment, no piano, just a small notebook he'd started carrying in his jacket pocket. The first time he stopped to write something down, he felt almost foolish. But the words on the page were different from anything he'd written before. They had weight, authenticity, a poetic quality that seemed to emerge from somewhere deeper than conscious thought. The ocean, he realized, wasn't just providing scenery. It was providing rhythm, inspiration, even collaboration. This moment of discovery would fundamentally change not just how Springsteen wrote songs, but how he understood creativity itself. What started as an accidental discovery quickly evolved into a deliberate, almost sacred practice. Springsteen began making regular pilgrimages to the New Jersey Shore, particularly during the off-season when the beaches were empty and he could walk for hours without interruption. These weren't leisurely strolls. They were intensive creative sessions that could last from early morning until sunset. The process became remarkably consistent. Springsteen would park his car, pull out his weathered notebook, and begin walking. He would let his mind wander freely, allowing the sound of waves and the rhythm of his steps to create a meditative state. When words or phrases came to him, he would stop immediately and write them down, often in shorthand to capture the thought before it disappeared. "It's like the ocean is my co-writer," Springsteen explained, laughing at the simplicity of it. But he wasn't joking. The ocean genuinely became part of his creative process, providing not just inspiration but actual musical elements, rhythm, timing, even emotional texture that would later translate into his songs. The notebooks began filling with fragments that would eventually become some of the most celebrated lyrics in rock history. A phrase captured during a winter walk might sit dormant for months before finding its perfect home in a song. Other times, entire verses would pour out during a single afternoon by the shore. Fellow musicians and producers began noticing something different about Springsteen's material. While many songwriters struggled with writer's block or forced inspiration, Springsteen seems to have access to an endless well of authentic, emotionally resonant material. The beach walking ritual began producing extraordinary results almost immediately. Some of Springsteen's most celebrated compositions can trace their DNA directly back to these solitary walks along the New Jersey coastline. The haunting imagery in songs like The River, the desperate hope of Atlantic City, and the epic scope of Born to Run all emerged from these sessions where America's greatest songwriter walked the edge of the continent with nothing but a notebook and an open mind. Producer John Landau, who worked closely with Springsteen on many of his classic albums, witnessed firsthand how these beach sessions translated into studio magic. Bruce would arrive with these notebooks full of fragments and ideas, Landau recalled, but they weren't just random thoughts. They were these perfectly captured moments of human truth. The ritual proved particularly powerful during emotionally challenging periods. When Springsteen was processing difficult experiences, relationship struggles, family issues, social concerns, the beach walks provided a way to transform personal pain into universal art. The solitude allowed him to be completely honest with himself, while the vastness of the ocean seemed to put personal problems into cosmic perspective. What's remarkable is how this intensely private process created music that spoke to millions. The loneliness of those beach walks somehow unlocked universal emotions and experiences, creating songs that resonated far beyond their New Jersey origins. As Springsteen's career exploded globally, many wondered if his simple ritual could survive the demands of international touring and superstardom. The answer came in his remarkable ability to adapt the practice to new environments while maintaining its essential spirit. During world tours, Springsteen would research coastal areas near concert venues, often arriving in cities days early to find suitable walking locations. Whether it was the beaches of California, the shores of Australia, or the coastlines of Europe, he found ways to continue his walking meditation ritual. When ocean access wasn't possible, Springsteen proved remarkably creative in finding substitutes. Rivers, lakes, even urban parks became temporary collaborators in his creative process. The key wasn't the specific location. It was the combination of solitude, movement, and openness to inspiration. The notebooks multiplied over the decades, eventually filling multiple boxes in his home studio. These became more than just song fragments. They evolved into a historical record of American life, as observed by someone who spent 40 years walking and listening and writing down what he discovered. At 75, Bruce Springsteen continues his beach walking ritual, though perhaps at a gentler pace than in his younger days. The practice that began as a personal quirk has become the foundation of one of popular music's most celebrated careers, proving that the best creative processes are often the simplest ones. Thanks for watching. Click here to check another video and make sure to subscribe to our channel.